All right, everyone. I think it's time that we begin. My name is Nick Ferrugia. I'm product marketing manager here at Social Tables. I've been here for about a year and a half, or a little bit more than that now, and I'm really excited to get underway and show you the first look of our Social Tables diagramming redesign. I have with me Hannah Lucas and Kristen O'Callahan. They are product manager and senior product designer, respectively. They are the folks that are bringing this great new redesign to you. So I'd like them to introduce themselves right now.
Hi everyone, as Nick mentioned, this is Hannah Lucas, product manager for our diagram, sheet, and check-in products. Been with Social Tables just about over a year, and I want to thank everyone that's currently online right now for the webinar. I'm very excited to be a panelist today, and overall just talk about some of the upcoming changes to diagrams that our team has been working really hard on improving this past year. And I'm joined here by Kristen O'Callahan, again, the senior product designer who worked on the incredible designs you're about to see today for this initiative, and has been my partner in crime for taking the feedback into actionable insights.
Hey, I'm Kristen. Like Hannah mentioned, a designer here. I led the design of the redesign that we're going to be talking about today. I work on a lot of our different products here at Social Tables, but have spent the past few months focused on diagramming, and I'm really excited to share it with you today.
Great. And with that, I think we should get started. A few things to note before we begin. Be sure to use the chat window to ask questions. We have already encouraged a few of you to let us know if you can hear us and if you can see the screen. You have all responded in the affirmative, so that's great. The next thing to keep in mind is there's no need to take notes. We are going to send you an email of the full recording of the webinar once it's over. If I were you, I would be on the lookout for that email around 5 or 6 o'clock Eastern time PM this afternoon. It'll take a little while for this video to buffer and fully record, and then we'll get it up on YouTube and you can check it out. And I also encourage you to send it to your colleagues because they're going to want to see this too. If you have any questions about our products or any more information, I encourage you to send us an email at hello@socialtables.com. We will get right back to you and try to answer your questions as best as we can. And then one last thing to keep in mind, if at any point during this presentation you love what you see or you want to learn more, we strongly recommend that you head to socialtables.com/demo to schedule a one-on-one presentation with one of our friendly account representatives. They'll answer your questions and so show you what our tool, in particular the redesign of this tool, can do for you and your organization. And with that, let's get into the demo. Great. So here's a look at our high-level agenda. The first thing that we're going to do is take a look at the history of Social Tables and our parent company, Cvent. So we'll introduce you to these two organizations. Then the next thing is we're going to take a look at the vision of the product redesign, what inspired us to do it, and what we were aiming for with the redesign. Then we're going to head into customer testimonials. A few lucky customers of ours have already had a chance to try the product out, and they've given us great feedback that we'd love to show you, and so you can understand, exactly how folks like you who use the product every day, how they're thinking about the product. Then we're going to head into the features and benefits of the product. You're going to take a look at 3 great new features that you're going to be able to enjoy now that the product has been redesigned. And then you're going to take a look at 3 features that if you're an existing Social Tables user, you already know and love, but they just look and act better. And with that, once we get through all of that, we're going to go to a Q&A session. So we're going to reserve this for the end, but I strongly encourage you, if at any point during the presentation you have a question, please use the chat or question window to ask that question. We will not answer it during the course of the presentation, but we will certainly try to address it once we get to the end of the presentation. So don't wait, don't forget what you want to ask, just ask right away, and then when we're done, we'll save as much time as we can to answer your questions. Great, so let's head into the presentation itself. The Cvent Social Tables introduction. So, about Social Tables, we were founded in 2011, so 8 years ago now, by Don Berger. He's a great guy. We love him. He leads this organization in just the most wonderful way possible. We have more than 5,000 property customers. This includes hotels, venues, and universities, and we have tens of thousands of planners who use us every day to interface with those venues to make fantastic events. We really pride ourselves on the retention of our customers here at Social Tables. As you can see here, over 90% of our customers renew on an annual basis. They love the product and we love our customers. And we also love the fact that we're a popular product. Over 5.5 million successful events have been planned and executed in Social Tables. That's thousands of events every single day. And a little bit more about our parent company, Cvent. They recently acquired Social Tables back in October. They were founded in 1999, so this is the 20th anniversary of Cvent. Very exciting time to be part of the organization. When they started, they were primarily an event registration company, but in those past 2 decades, they have grown into a world-class platform for end-to-end event management and day of management and venue sourcing and everything in between. It has something to do with an event. Cvent has something to do with it. You can see this massive growth in the numbers. The Cvent can claim over 300,000 customers in over 100 different countries. And now getting into what Cvent and Social Tables mean together. Cvent, as I mentioned, acquired Social Tables in October 2018. That's about 6 or 7 months ago now. One of the most exciting things about this acquisition has been that our two teams are coming together to build integrations between our products and platforms. So I encourage you to be on the lookout for those things. We're extremely excited about them. They're going to make your lives easier. They're going to make your planning and executing events better. So as I mentioned, be on the lookout. We will be messaging about these integrations soon. Another great thing about being part of the Cvent family is that we now have more resources and more opportunities than ever before. So we're strengthening our client services team. We're getting closer with our customers. We're acquiring new customers. It's just a great time to be part of the Cvent family and a great time to be at Social Tables. And the last thing I will say is that we're very excited to be part of a portfolio of world-class event products like the Cvent Supplier Network, Passkey, and Capal, just to mention a few. And now that we have sort of introduced the two companies, I think it's time for us to take a look at the product vision. So at a high level, it's important to mention that with this redesign, Social Tables relied extremely heavily on customer feedback and product best practices to deliver something that is easier for our customers to use, easier for our customers to understand, and just better all around. So at a high level, as I've mentioned, easier to use, more visually appealing, and substantially more robust, especially when it comes to table templates. Hannah, Kristen, would you like to add some context to what I've just said?
Yeah, sure. So as we mentioned earlier, this initiative was entirely based on feedback that we were hearing from customers like yourself. So starting back in the summer, we focused heavily on what we were hearing from our users and used that as a guiding light of sorts for some of the pain points our customers are feeling and understanding how we could best go about improving the overall experience. So after pouring through countless support cases and getting on the phone with numerous customers, again, some of who are actually on this webinar right now, we ended on a solution that was focused on design and workflow improvements, which we'll dig into in a little bit in upcoming slides.
Excellent. And taking what Hannah just said and sort of giving it like a finer point, my opinion, I think this opinion is shared among the team and among the customers who've used it before. The result is a new level of quality and sophistication for our event services solution, which is in fact the most popular event diagramming tool in the world. And so we are extremely proud and extremely excited to show off what this change means for you and for us. Great. So the most significant high-level updates, we've touched on a few of these in sort of higher level detail, but to get into the weeds a little bit, users can now enjoy new templates that they can create and edit with just a few clicks. There are a bunch of new things they can do with templates. It's really robust. It's really cool. I can't wait to show you what it can do. Our customers can now easily find all of their favorite objects and tools in one convenient left-hand panel. We've redesigned the information workflow. We have redesigned our architecture so that it is easier to find what you're looking for. It's all in one spot, and you can get to work, and you can get on with your day. And then at a baseline, I think extremely important thing to know is that this redesign is clearer and cleaner, and it's going to make your life easier. It's going to be easier for you to share the information that you need to share. It's going to be easier for you to understand what you're looking at a glance when you look at your diagrams. And that's something that our team is very proud of and something that Kristen has put a lot of work into. So with that, I think we should dive into our customer testimonials. Some of the things that the people that we have had use the product already, some of the things they've said to us.
Yeah, so as I mentioned previously, a main focus of this redesign was on receiving feedback early and often for our users, because we truly want to ensure that we're creating a solution that improves your day-to-day, because you guys are in the product every day. So during those screen shares where we were demoing the proposed changes and designs, we spoke to many customers, and I'd love to take a second to highlight a few of those meaningful quotes from these sessions here.
Excellent.
So the first is from Amber McKinney, Town of Banff. She said, "I love how you've simplified the tools we use most often. The whole system is so much more user-friendly. This is great." And really gets at the idea that Chris and I were going for of how can we make sure that these improvements, this new design, is really going to work with you as the user to be a little bit more intuitive. The next is from Michael Flores from the University of Seattle. He said, "Really, really fantastic changes. a lot more user-friendly. It eliminates the learning curve almost completely. Anyone can go in and learn it right away. And from the hotelier perspective, the Ritz-Carlton, Rafael Marcano, this is so great. It seems the functionality is much faster than what my colleagues are working on, and we already love social tables so much. This one was especially dear to our hearts because when he said the already love social tables so much, really gets this idea of we wanted to take what we know is good about social tables currently and just work on improving that. And I believe, Nick, I think during that session he said something about it takes divine intervention to be working on some of the other tools that are out there.
Yeah, that was one of the very best customer quotes I'd ever heard. He said that using other Venn diagramming solutions requires an active intervention to teach somebody how to use it. So that was very flattering, and we were happy to hear it. Excellent. So now that we've gotten the customer testimonials out of the way, I think it's time for us to really dive in and see what the features and benefits bring to along with the redesign. So what we're going to do, I think as I mentioned, we're going to take a look at 3 new features and benefits that come along with this redesign. And then after that, we're going to take a look at some of the things that, if you've used social tables in the past, you already know that you love, but they just look better and they act better. So with that, let's take a look at the new features in social tables diagramming. The first is the awesome, amazing left-hand panel.
Yeah, so this is Kristen speaking. I want to talk a little bit about how we got to this point. So some of you, if you're using social tables right now, you might notice something that's missing from this, and that would be the right panel where you currently are editing everything that you put on the template. There was also a toolbar in the top in the current or old version as well. And then, of course, the left panel that had all the different tabs and drawers where you could access different things to put on the diagram, different rooms, layouts, and equipment lists, and a bunch of other things over there. So we looked at all of that and figured out that we could organize that in a different way where you accessed all the things that were related to putting things in the diagram in the same place. And that allows us to clear up a lot of the interface to give you more space to do what's important, which is see your diagram and edit that diagram and make changes, giving you a lot more space to look at that, and also just making it a lot more clean so that everything is more contextual. You don't have to worry about looking at everything at once. And the other benefit that comes with that is that we can keep adding new features. So we've added a lot of new things over the years, and we've ended up sort of finding a place to sort of put all of those and put one in this corner and add another drawer and things like that. And it was starting to get really cluttered. And we want to keep adding features like that, but we still want you to have a clean and easy to use interface. So this is a system that's going to allow us to keep adding and add more and more things and tools, but not overwhelm and not take away from that really important space that you need to create your diagram. So the way that we did that was with a new toolbar on the left and then a panel next to it that we're calling the focus panel. So you'll notice that on the left we have some tools that you'll be familiar with. So templates is up there in the left, objects, favorites. We wanted to highlight favorites. It was a little bit buried before, but we know that that's a really valuable tool and a really important way to quickly put things onto the diagram up there with objects and templates. So you can access all of those right now. When you click on them, it'll open all those details and give you access to all the objects and things that you're used to seeing. It'll all be right there in the left, especially with templates. That's going to be even easier because all of those things that you can configure about the template, including starting with the setup template and then all the other things, you're able to access them all on the left panel instead of having to sort of do some things over there on the left and then look on the right and sort of remember where to look to find different things. We're putting everything that you would be looking for in that focus panel so you know where it's going to be depending on whatever you're doing. We also put all of the ways that you would put labels and other kinds of labeling things on your diagram, such as the table numbering tool, the text tool, all of the line tools, image tool. You'll find all of those in that left toolbar as well. And as you click on each one, it's going to show you the details that you need in that focus panel on the left. So you can set that up and get it on your diagram. And if you use our attendee and seating tools, that'll be over there in the toolbar as well. And so some of the things that you also might be noticed that were on the top toolbar before, a lot of them were related to editing an object. So the other great thing about the focus panel and being able to get rid of the right panel is when you're putting things on a diagram, like objects or labels or whatever it may be, that's what you're doing at that given time, so you don't need anything else. And same with when you're editing an object. So when you select an object, you're going to see everything that's related to editing that particular object in the same place. So before you would have maybe seen some things that showed up in that top toolbar when something was selected, and some other times it wasn't accessible. Now everything that's related to that object and ways that you can edit it. So for example, rotating or locking or arranging, all of that's going to be in that focus panel. And same thing if you select multiple objects, if you select a template, everything that you need to edit that is going to be over there. So yeah, anything to add to that, Hannah?
Yeah, so I think Kristen summed it up pretty well. But just one of the metaphors I like to use from our previous design was essentially imagine you're in a grocery store and you know you want a brand of cereal. Let's go with Frosted Flakes. So you know you want Frosted Flakes, you go into the aisle, and our previous design basically was a bit overwhelming and cluttered in that we just provided every single possible breakfast food that you could imagine that situation. So there's the cereals, there's the oatmeal, there's whatever other pancake mixes, let's say. With this design, what we really tried to do is hone in and help you find exactly what it is that you're looking for with that left panel. So now when you walk down the aisle, the only thing that's there at the end is just beautiful Frosted Flakes, probably shielded in gold. But again, that left panel is really going to help you hone in on what it is that you're working on at the right time.
Great. That was a very good metaphor, Hannah. Thank you.
Thank you. Food is really my forte.
You're preaching to the choir, I'd say. Okay, cool. So that's the left-hand panel. We're going to move on to table templating. We're really excited about this tool. We think it, over the long haul, it's going to save users hours. There's so much more flexibility. There's so much more you can do. Hannah, Kristen, you guys want to take it from here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Nick mentioned, templates is a really important tool for us and for you, of course. We know that's a way that you're able to save a lot of time. A lot of these diagrams are starting with some sort of seating setup that you're able to do through templates. So we had sort of the base functionality before where you were able to determine what the spacing or rows and aisles and whatever you wanted it to be and draw that out on your diagram. But from there wasn't a lot of flexibility. So what we've introduced is a couple of ways that you can manage that template a little bit better as it's on the screen after you've drawn it out. So the first one, which you can probably see in this video here, is the ability to visually and dynamically change the size of it. So we now have what's called little handles on the sides and the corners of here, and you can expand and also shrink that template itself after you've drawn it out. So if it's a little too big, you don't need that top row or one of the columns, it's easy to shrink it and grow it really easily from the diagram itself. Another problem that we know people had that we weren't able to really manage before was the ability to delete individual objects from a template. So before you had to sort of ungroup or break the template in order to delete an object or to move an object. Now you can do that without getting rid of the template itself or breaking the template. You can still make all of those edits. You can still add rows and columns and anything like that related to the template attributes, even if you want to delete something. So for example, if there's a column in the middle of your room and you want tables all around it in a template style, but not just one, that's where that column would be, it's really easy to just double click on and delete that one object. And then the rest of the template will still behave the way that you expect. As you can see here, you can still use those handles to grow it. And then another way that you can visually edit it is by rotating, as you can see here. So we, of course, had the ability to rotate before, but it was not quite as easy and you weren't able to do it right there on the diagram itself. And we know this is a visual tool, it's a visual output, and I am, of course, as a designer, a visual person, so I hope you appreciate, I think everyone will appreciate as much as I do, sort of a quick way to interact on the diagram itself and make those changes. And speaking of that rotation, we know that that's something that you could use for other objects as well, and that's something we're working on that's going to be coming soon, is the ability to rotate individual objects, like, for example, a stage. Or anything like that. So yeah, even more improvements coming, but we hope this will, we think this is really gonna speed things up.
Awesome, Kristen. So I'm gonna interject here for a second. I know we said we were gonna wait until the end to answer questions, but we got a really good one from Laura just now, and I'm gonna serve it up to Hannah. The question is, how did the user remove one table from the staggered table?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, it gets at that higher flexibility they're able to do with this new feature. So with one click, you're able to select the entire template, which is what you see right here. And then if you double click into an individual table, then you can select just that table and do specific settings with that. So whether that's deleting that table or moving it to a different part of the diagram, you can do that, again, all without breaking the template or needing to ungroup the tables. So you'll still have all of that great template functionality that you know and love, being able to add the aisles, columns, etc.
Laura, I hope that answers your question. I think that's a really cool new feature, and I'm glad you asked about it. Excellent. So now that we've discussed table templating, I think we can move on to diagramming in general. We've had customers tell us in the past, many customers say that when they move to social tables, they save up to 50% of the time they normally spend diagramming on diagramming. And it freed them up to do all kinds of different other things to really refine and execute their spectacular events and make their events even better, and to focus on their bottom line. And we think that with the new redesign and the new features and architecture that we've put in place, users are going to save even more time and be able to focus on really what matters most, which is delivering that spectacular event. So Hannah, Kristen, would you like to add some context to what I've just said?
Yeah, sure. So we added a lot of small incremental improvements to this that will allow you to work even faster. And one of those that I'll talk about here is what's called the control bar. You can see that in the bottom right of your screen, kind of next to where the table and chair count or equipment list are now. You can zoom in and out of your diagram there. That's how you can undo and redo things. So that's sort of how you control everything and how you move around the diagram itself. And there's a shortcut button here if you want to have the diagram fill the screen. If you want to kind of zoom to fit, there's something there. And if you select an object, an individual object, and you want to focus in on that and see some details on that, there's also a button you can press and it'll just immediately zoom in on that. And so in addition to these buttons down in the control bar, we've also added a lot more keyboard shortcuts. So all of those things that you see there are, of course, things Control-Z, Control-C, Control+, things that you can do to navigate around the diagram itself. We've added even more than that. And one in particular is the ability to put multiple objects onto your diagram that are the same object at the same time. So if you go in objects right now, and for example, if you want to put a plant in every corner of your diagram, you could, if you hold down the Alt key or Option key on a Mac, you can just drop multiple of those. So we call that sort of click to place or stamp. It's like you're stamping it right on there. If you hold that key down, you can just drop as many as you want. So that'll work with objects and other tools as well to let you move really quickly through there. Another improvement that we've made here is, you won't be able to see it in this GIF here, but as soon as you get in the product and can play around, you'll see that there's a new way to navigate through your diagrams or rooms in an event. So you're going to get an even bigger preview of that, so you can more quickly jump between the different diagrams that you have in your events that you're working on. Anything you want to add to that, Hannah?
Yeah, no, I think you summed up perfectly. Again, just taking a step back and thinking how we can, again, work with you and make sure that whatever it is that you're in your workflow, that step that you're able to do exactly what that is easier, whether that's being able to select an object, being able to pan or move around the diagram, or be able to hyper-focus on particular objects in your diagram. We allowed you to do this even better with this new design.
Excellent. Okay, so now that we've touched on diagramming and we've really introduced, the three new features and benefits that we're most excited about with this redesign, it's time to jump into if you've used social tables in the past, if you're an existing social tables user, the features that you already know and love, but they're just better. So one thing that we love to say at social tables is that venues and hotels and colleges and universities really have the power to let planners transform their events into experiences. And what we mean by that is we have a really robust set of tools around attendee management, seating, and check-in. And in our opinion, they look and act even better than they have in the past. We've recently made some updates to these tools, and I'd love to have Hannah and Kristen talk about what you can do today with this suite of tools.
Yeah, so especially with attendee management, For users that manage attendee lists in their events, we offer a suite of features and tools in our program to allow you to effectively organize your attendee list in a way that's meaningful and unique to you. So you can upload multiple attendee lists and even manage any conflicting information that exists one by one or either through a single bulk action. And then once the attendee list is successfully imported into Social Tables, you have even more control. So you can add colored tags or meals that will display on the diagram for seated guests. You can sort columns in ascending or descending order, reorder or hide columns, add new columns so that, again, all that information that you want is there and present in your view. You can seat or group guests and much, much more. It's really exciting things, again, from this grid view, which is a relatively recent feature that we rolled out several months ago, starting the new year.
Awesome. Okay, quick sharing. This is really what makes Social Tables. Social Tables, in my opinion, the ability to invite people to work with you on your event planning process. And there are a lot of ways to do this. It could be as simple as printing out a diagram, a custom diagram, one that has potentially grid lines or not grid lines, or air walls or not air walls, and then handing a physical print of that diagram to somebody who needs to see it in order to execute the event. Or in a more sophisticated version of sharing and collaboration, you can invite collaborators to work with you in real time on a diagram so that they can see or even edit what you're working on at the same time that you're working in it. And so with this redesign, these tools look even better, in my opinion, and I'd love to field to Hannah and Kristen to talk about what these tools mean.
Yeah, so again, at Social Tables, we know that collaboration can be a big part of your day-to-day, so we want to make sure that we're giving you the right tools and empowering you to be able to share that with either whether it's coworkers or clients. So you have several different mechanisms for doing so. You can either do that by adding a collaborator, which will send them an email and they'll be able to access your diagram just from that link very easily. You can also export a customizable PDF, like Nick talked about. You can add options like air walls, grid lines. You can even do things like add in your personal logo to give it more of a professional, personal touch. Or you can even just very easily share a link that another person can use to directly reference your diagram. So really, a lot of different flavors for whatever it is that you're looking for exactly based on your needs.
Awesome. All right, and the last benefit and feature slide that we have today, we've just obviously touched on this, but I think this is the most spectacular version of live collaboration and sharing in Social Tables. I know this is one computer, but I'm going to ask you to think of it as two computers. The person on the left is currently editing a diagram in two-dimensional space, and the person on the right has their screen open to a 3D variation of the same diagram. And as you can see, they are seeing these changes that are being made to the diagram happening in real time. So right now, this person is going to decide to change, get rid of the buffet. Guess what? It's gone. And then now the GIF is replaying itself, and this person on the left decides to change the color of the table from blue to purple, and it's all there available for the other person to see in real time. So really, Social Tables keeps everyone who's working on an event on the same page, whether you're a planner or you work at the hotel or you sell event space at the hotel or you're the client. Everyone has an opportunity to see what's going on at any given moment of the planning process. Hannah, Kristen, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so this is actually probably one of my favorite features just because with Diagram and Social Tables, our goal initiative is really to help you take your event to life. So making sure it's a successful event. And one of the ways we do that, obviously, is that two-dimensional view. We're able to dynamically drag out tables and templates and objects to create the space. But to really take it to life before the event, our 3D feature helps you do that even more. So you can see and have a better idea of what it's actually going to look like in that space and make tweaks in real time, whether that's, you're just on your own trying to see what it's going to look like, or again, sharing with a coworker or client.
Excellent. Okay, and with that, we're going to move on to what's next. So here's what's next. As I mentioned, we are going to record. This video is currently being recorded, and once we have an ability to download it and upload it to YouTube, we're going to share it with all of you. We encourage you to take a look at it again in case there's anything you think you've missed. We also encourage you strongly to share the recording with your coworkers or your clients. This redesign is important, and I think it's going to make your lives better. So please share this as widely as you can. Many of you who are on the call right now will have the ability to access these new tools yourself. I think something may have happened with my screen. I hope can everyone still see what I'm sharing? Okay, allow me to present, I apologize, we'll get that up and running again for you in just a second. Okay, can everyone see again? If you could please answer in the questions section. Okay. It's back. Excellent. Wow. 45 people all at once have said yes, we're back. This is very gratifying. Okay, so as I was trying to say before my computer had decided to stop working.
Weekend mode. It went on weekend mode.
Yeah, it went on weekend mode, exactly. So a large number of you already have the opportunity to access this redesign. So I encourage you to jump into your account right now and look for a button in the upper right-hand corner that says Get Access Now. And if you click it, you can hop right into this redesign. If you do not see this button, hold tight. Your chance to try out the new tool is on its way. You will be receiving messaging from us in the coming days and weeks to let you know when to expect these new tools to hit your account. And the last thing that I'll add here before we get to the question and answer session is if at any point you have any questions about what our tools, how to use our tools best, or if you don't know how to do something that you really want to do, I encourage you to head to help.socialtables.com and you should find your answer there. All right, great. So we're moving on to the question and answer session. So at this point, type your questions into the question or chat window, and we will do our best to answer everyone. It looks like we have, let me see here, we have about 20 minutes left to answer questions, so we're going to stick around and answer as many as we can. But before folks leave, I just want to mention one last thing to reiterate a point we made at the top. If you're not currently a customer and you love what you've seen and you want to learn more, the best thing that you can do is head over to socialtables.com/demo to request a presentation with one of our friendly sales directors. They are going to point you in the right direction. They are going to explain how Social Tables can really take your event planning process and your team to the next level. We really think you're going to get a lot out of the product. And with that, I think it's time for us to answer some questions. We received a lot during the course of the presentation, so let's answer a few of those first. But as I said, start asking questions now. We'll get to them.
Yeah, so thank you to everyone that's already posted questions. Again, we're very excited, just really at the volume of people that are on this webinar right now and the people that have been taking a very active role. So let me go ahead and answer some of those questions now. The first is this a migration? And if so, will all my layouts, favorites, and diagrams move with me once I'm in the new design? This is a great question and one that I'm sure a lot of you are thinking about. So just to clarify, this is not a migration. So what that means is all your information will stay the exact same between the old design and the new design. Again, I'm going with another metaphor outside of my cereal. I'm going to go into technology. So think about this new design almost as a new phone cover, but with a battery charger. So your phone is still the same. The cover just has a fresh new look, and you'll get compliments on it. So what this means, again, is that all your data will stay the exact same, whether that's your layouts, your favorites, your diagrams, that will all transfer.
Another metaphor for this too is you're in the same house, but you've rearranged your furniture and maybe you've upgraded a few pieces.
I'm actually doing that in real life right now.
Yeah.
So that metaphor really hits home.
And I also need a new phone cover, so really it's all coming.
Yeah, you can tell how we get our metaphors.
Yeah. Another question we had was, when will we have access to the new site? So we're very excited that you guys are excited as well. And when you'll have access to that, some of you already do. So if you'll notice, really at the top of your screen, you'll have what is a pink banner that will give you the opportunity to opt in from that section, or by navigating to the Home Settings tab, or also from the Help menu, again, at that top bar. So you have a couple different mechanisms for opting in and trying it out. This is risk-free, so you can opt in and opt back out for whatever reason, but really giving you power to check out the changes for yourself and provide feedback before we move everyone in, which will probably be, as of right now, we're looking at late May.
Yeah.
Another question is about favorites. So we had a question about where the favorites are. You'll see those, again, Kristen mentioned this, but called out in a more prominent way with this design. So previously they were hidden under that Objects tab in the left panel, so it's a little bit hard to find. Now you'll have an entire section dedicated to your favorites. So just on that left toolbar, you'll be able to click into that. It's going to be a little star icon, and you're able to see all your favorites in the same way. Something that's also coming soon this year is the ability, to reorder those favorites. So right now it's going to still do that list, but being able to customize and view that list in a way that's meaningful to you. Another question we got was, you said the ability to rotate single objects will be coming in the future. Will you also be able to grow individual objects such as stages? So something I'd like to call out with that, and actually Kristen mentioned this, is the ability to rapidly create objects on your diagram. So let's say you have a stage and you want multiple stages. Something we're really excited about with this design is the ability to do so. So obviously you can still do copy and paste if you would like, but we know that's not always necessarily the easiest thing with technology. So what we're offering with this new design is the ability to rapidly stamp. So if you hold down the Alt key if you're on a PC, or the Option key if you're on a Mac, you can do that and just rapidly stamp, and it'll place that object wherever it is, whether it's a stage, buffet table. You can just go ahead and stamp that however you'd like. And it looks like we have some more questions coming in.
Hannah, we have a great one from someone named Lisa. If we opt in, will it affect all of our teammates, or will it only she be affected?
Great question. So it is only your particular account. So the way we do it is we tie it to your email address. So once you opt in, you will be the only one that sees that. So you don't have to worry about disrupting your workflow or having to learn, or having your teammate need to learn something else that they weren't aware about. So it'll just be reflected on your own account, no one else's.
Awesome. Another great question for you. Is there a way to copy an old diagram from a previous version into the updated version?
All of your old diagrams will be in this version. This is not so much a new version, but a redesign or a rearranging of things. So all of your data will still be there. Just everything that you've done when you log in, you'll find it in the same place that you would expect to find it. Your home will look the same. It'll have all of your data, all of your diagrams there. So yeah, not to worry with that. And I see another question that says, can you add outside clip art into social tables? So one of the tools in that toolbar has a little icon of a picture. That's our image tool, and that lets you upload any images that you want. So maybe if there's not an object that exists in social tables, you could upload an image of that if you wanted, or any other reason that you might want to put an image on that diagram, you can definitely do that.
Yeah, and we have another question about, is there any way to individualize inventory for a venue? So for example, you have a specific type of table. So you are able to set, again, kind of going back to the favorites question, be able to give an object the exact specifications, the exact qualifications. So you can do the length, the width, the color, give it a name, and be able to save that as a favorite, and then easily reference it and be able to place it on your diagram whenever you need it.
Yeah, and we're working on even more flexibility with things like that, especially when it comes to templates. I think I saw a question about template defaults as well for sort of saving your spacing and aisles and things as well. So we're working on a feature right now that's going to allow you to not just have defaults for each template type, but have multiple different defaults. We're calling those template presets, and you can name those whatever you want. So if it was particular to a certain venue that you had or a certain event space, you could call it the ballroom banquet round setup or whatever you wanted to call it. So you could customize that to the different spaces. And within each of those presets, you could set as many things as you wanted. So you could set the table size and the chair type, the aisle width, all those sorts of things. And you could save that so that anyone on your team can access that later. So expect to see a lot of more customizable things like that coming in the future.
Yeah, it looks like we have another question about deleting an individual object within a template without breaking the template. And the specific question is, can you relocate a single table without breaking the template? And yes, that's correct. So right now, because of some of these improvements that we've released, you're able to take that table that's within that template and release it from the template. Now what that does is the table is still its own distinct object, but the original template's still intact. So you didn't break the template. You can go back to those original templates and, again, have template-specific functionality, such as changing the space between columns, etc.
Yeah, so in the past, you could relocate it, but that would break the entire template. And now, when you relocate a single object or table, it only takes that one table out of the template, and the rest of it maintains all of its template functionality.
And it looks like there's a question about collaborators. So do they have access to edit or just view? Great question. So for this one, for collaborators, we know depending on your situation, that might have a little bit of an influence in terms of what permission levels you want to provide. So with collaboration, you're actually able to set those beforehand. So if you want them to have full edit access, you can do that. If you want them to view only access, you can also set that. If you want them to be able to just manage attendees, we allow that flexibility based on your current situation and needs.
And I see a question that says, are we still able to export diagram via the PDF button on the right-hand side of the screen? And that is still there. That's exactly where it was before. So yes, you can still do that quick export action in the same place that you could find that before.
And there's another question about, will you have any training webinars or other training available for new users to teach the basics as well as others to show new functions? Again, great question. We do offer live training sessions at a regular basis to go over just kind of an introduction of what Social Tables offers and also answer questions in kind of this rapid style like we're doing here. So please do sign up for those live training sessions. They're a great resource led by our customer success team, as well as some of the resources that we have, lots of FAQ docs and tutorials.
And I see a question about our custom or our rental catalogs like Court or AFR. Those are still in with your objects. So at the bottom of the objects, and when you have objects selected in the panel, you'll see actually a button that's sort of called out with a darker color called rental catalog. And when you click on that, you'll be able to access all of those things. And we're actually working on some improvements even to the way that search works and a way to access those things even more easily. So expect that coming soon as well.
I just want to interject here to say that there are still several hundred people who've stayed on at this point in the presentation. So I want to thank you for staying. We have about 13 minutes left to answer questions. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask us. We're going to try to stay for the entire duration of the webinar.
Okay, and I see a question about accessing diagrams that were created by coworkers. So you should have the ability to access everyone's stuff. Right now, the way that you do that is in Home. There's a title that says My Events, and if you click on that, there's a little arrow next to it that'll open a way for you to switch to Teams events, and then you'll be able to see everything. And we're actually working now on an improvement to make it even easier to know where to go to find just your events or to find all of your Teams events, because we know that's something that's really important. So that's a great question. Thanks for asking that.
Oh, I'd like to give a shout out to folks here who are still on the line with us. If you're planning on opting into the new design today or in the near future, and you would be willing to give us your impression of how it's going, let me know in the comments section so we can be sure to reach out to you once you've had an opportunity to try it out. We would love to hear your feedback.
Yeah, and on that note, how we can get that feedback, again, this is very important to us, so making sure that we're creating solutions that work for you and work with your day-to-day workflow. So please do continue to provide that feedback. If you have a dedicated AM, a manager, please do reach out to them if you ever have any ideas. You're also helping to make sure that we take this product forward and continuing to make advances. Also, chatting into our support team is another way to reach us. We do go through those cases, and is another reason why we did this design, is we were hearing your cases, we were hearing your feedback, and being able to make those changes dynamically. So please do continue to provide your thoughts and continue to be a voice with Social Tables.
I would add one additional thing. If you have never used Social Tables before and you would like to learn more about the product, let me know in the questions, and I would be very happy to introduce you directly to one of our great account managers. They'll be able to explain what the product does and point you in the right direction. So also, please let me know that feedback in the questions section.
Yes, I see a question that says, if my coworkers are not on this webinar, will they still be able to switch over to the new design? And the answer to that is yes. Everyone can access the new design if they want. So all of your coworkers should have the option to opt into that starting now. Okay, I'm going to go with this question about templates. It says, I understand I can change the spacing prior to adding the template to the diagram, but if I forget or decide I want to change it after looking at the final diagram, I don't want to take another step to rotate back. So with this version, as with the old version, it's a little bit clearer to see now because it's all in the same place, but you can make the changes that you want to a template before drawing it out. If you want to set the aisles and set the spacing and set the table type, you can do that before you draw it out, and you can also do it after. So all you have to do is select the template on the diagram, and you'll see all of those fields over there on the left where you could edit. You can edit the spacing, you can edit the the color, the aisles, the number of chairs, even the rotation, all of that's going to be there. So there's a lot of flexibility, and we've just added even more flexibility in this new version in that if you do certain things like delete or move a table, you'll still be able to access that template functionality and be able to add or change an aisle or adjust the spacing. So we've just added even more flexibility with that.
I'm going to jump in here. I got a question from a viewer named Tom or Thom. I apologize. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. His question is, so if I want to become a customer, do I get this same presentation if I click on the demo request, or is it different? Tom, it will be different. It will be tailored to your interest specifically, and you will be able to ask questions one-on-one with our sales director, and so he or she can get into the specifics and nitty-gritty with you so that you know exactly, you get exactly the information you're looking for. You know, right now we're presenting to hundreds of people, but if you request a demo, you'll get a one-on-one session. So it'll be just what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I'd also like to quickly call out, we've had several people that have volunteered, even just in these questions, to provide feedback and looking forward to the new layout. So just want to say thank you so much. We really appreciate, again, your voice and chatting in. And again, you're one of the ways that we're able to continue to improve our products. So we do have an opportunity right now where we're allowing early access, and you get to talk to myself and a designer about some of those changes. So we'll definitely be reaching out to some of the people that were displaying interest. And again, want to thank you for that.
I see a question about air walls. It says air walls are not showing in 2D view, but they're showing in 3D. How are they removed? So that's going to be found up in the view menu. We still have that menu bar. A lot of the things that you were able to find before up there. We've made some small tweaks. We've added a lot of things there to make them easier to find, and we've organized things a little bit differently. We ended up adding a lot of things to that view menu, and so we consolidated some of them. So you now have a way to adjust everything related to that event space or that floor plan itself. That's all going to be in one place. And then everything related to the object. So if you want to turn on and off the dimensions, the service perimeter, things like that, you can do that there. And then same with attendees. All of the attendee view options, you can find a category for them there as well. But that's where you're going to find that ability to turn on and off air walls. There's a toggle to either show them or not. And then there's also a way to customize which one that you see. So that can be found in the view drop-down menu.
Yeah, it looks like we have a question about our chat help option. So with this new design, is everyone still able to assist in that way? And yes, we're a wonderful dedicated chat team that you've been grown to know and love over your course of your Social Tables experience will still be available via the chat and the support functionality if you do have any questions or run into any issues.
We have a great question here from Tamara. She asked, if I become a new customer, will I get the new features?
Yes, we're very excited about that. So this is the direction we're going based on the feedback that we've been hearing. So if you're a new user, someone coming in, you will be able to get this new updated design.
Awesome.
And I see a few different questions about some lagginess and some different browsers and social tables working best in Chrome. And just to be clear, so the changes that we've made to the design are for the most part not going to affect any of that. It's really just kind of like we've mentioned, sort of a moving around of things. There might be some small improvements to loading speeds for certain things, but for the most part, most of those things are not going to be affected by this.
Perfect, great.
Well, for the first time in ever, we haven't received a question in the last 30 seconds. So we still have 5.5 minutes left on this presentation. So don't be shy. If you want to ask us something, please feel free. We are happy to answer any question that you have about the product.
Yeah, and I see a couple more that we haven't quite gotten to yet. Can the customer now see the 3D render of the space? So if you add someone as a collaborator in your event, if you add a customer as a collaborator with full access, they should be able to see that 3D view just the same way that you are. We haven't made any changes to 3D for this particular redesign, so that should work the same way that you expected it to before.
Yeah, and it looks like we also have a question about kind of following up with the previous one about the favorites, being able to have an object whenever you pull it out, it's that same exact shape. So again, you can accomplish that through favorites. You can also do that by providing, if you're using a template, you can do something called template defaults, where you're able to go in and set those specifications beforehand. So any time you go in and let's say create a lined 5-foot round, it's always going to have the exact same table size, exact same chair orientation, etc. Something that we're really excited about that's coming in the future very soon is the availability to do that beforehand. So you'd be able to set something called presets. Right now, again, we have template defaults, but they're limited to one orientation, so either one for staggered, one for aligned, and we're wanting to allow a little bit more flexibility. So with this new presets feature, you'd actually be able to select as many different template presets as you'd like. So being able to say, I have aligned 5-foot rounds, but I also want aligned 3-foot rounds, let's say. So being able to have a little bit more customization, and then also coming very shortly, the ability to what we call pre-config objects beforehand. So being able to set your specifications before you even put it on the diagram. Currently, right now, you take your object, let's say you have a round placed on the diagram, and then you make those tweaks. You can always go back, and Social Tables does remember your last few settings to try to make it a little bit more streamlined and easier for you. But with this setting, again, that's coming probably the next few weeks, you'd be able to actually set that pre-configuration beforehand, before even putting it on the diagram, and already have that object exactly the way you want it.
Yeah, and I see another question that's about setting the default sizes. We do have a way to set saved sizes for objects like tables and chairs, but we're working on making that even more configurable in the future and being able to sort of have more control over the sizes of various objects. And I think we mentioned that with inventory as well. So that's a really great question. I see another question about interesting spaces such as a pool deck or a restaurant patio and whether or not that can be done in Social Tables. And the answer is yes. We have a lot of really cool places that our floor plan team have created for our clients. So yeah, we're really flexible in that way. I think, Nick, do you have any examples of some? I know we've got some really cool music venues in there, definitely outdoor spaces for sure.
Yeah, one of my favorite examples, and I recently talked to a Social Tables user at this property. There is a bunch of event space at the Daytona International Speedway, and that includes indoor and outdoor space. As you can imagine, there is all kinds of fun and interesting event space at that facility, and so yeah, you can do all kinds of different things in Social Tables.
Yeah, we also got a question about older events. So if you were previously on our original version, the legacy version, we got a question about, can you open those legacy events in the new version? And that's correct. Yes, you will be able to. So again, this is just a design, not a migration. So if you were able to, and you had those loaded in your account now, if you toggle on this new design, you'll still be able to open those events in our legacy version currently.
I'm going to jump in here and say that we have about a minute and a half left, and so we're going to do our best to answer a few more questions. I hope we don't abruptly get cut off, but at around the 10-second mark, we're going to sign off and say thank you. This has been a great presentation. You've been a fantastic crowd. Keep asking. We've got a minute left.
Oh, I have one was great metaphor. So
okay.
I appreciate your feedback on that.
I don't know which one that was talking to.
Yeah, we'll see.
There were so many.
There were so many quality ones.
There's a question, where can we find a list of all the shortcut keys? So that's a really great question, and that's something we're working on. I think probably the first place we're going to get that up is in our help center, but we're also working on a way to let you access that within the product so that you can sort of just do a quick check at any time to see all those things. You'll also notice that we've started including the shortcut keys in the actual when you hover on certain things, there's a little tooltip that tells you what it is. And we started, if there is an associated keyboard shortcut, we started showing you that there as well. So you can sort of learn as you're doing those common actions where you're clicking, you sort of see that every time, you'll start to remember it. We also currently have that in the menu, so the file menu, edit view, things like that. Those actually give you a little hint of what the keyboard shortcut is. So we're going to start doing even more of those, and then also, of course, giving you a place to access all of those so you can learn all of the new ones as well.
Great. So we have about 8 seconds left. Thank you, everyone, for being such a great crowd. And again, if you want to learn more, head to socialtables.com/demo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.